Hello and welcome to this guide for playing Nova in Heroes of the Storm. Please keep in mind that this guide has been made in early beta and therefore may be subject to change later on. This guide is a 4-step guide that will cover talent building for Nova, level 1 talent building for Nova, basic playstyle and tips and tricks. All of these points can be accessed by pressing any of the links here on the video. Nova is a high damage stealth assassin hero, which is squishy but when played correctly can fill your enemy team with rage and frustration, so let's jump right into it, shall we not? Building talents at level 1 is pretty straightforward. At level 1 I would recommend using Ambush Snipe. The reason for this is pretty straightforward, since it increases your snipe damage with 20% when used from Cloak or up to 1 second after emerging from Cloak. This is a good opener for any combat situation and can also be used should someone break you out of your cloaking. Conjurer's Pursuit seems nice, but I wouldn't really recommend it since you're going to need a lot of regen orbs in order to build this up properly, and your job is not being near regen orbs, it's to kill enemy heroes. Sire Rangefinder can seem tempting, 20% extra range and reduce cooldown on snipe. The problem I have with this is that if you use it at max range you won't be close enough to hit your enemies anyways, so it's more of a harassment talent than a assassin talent, and whilst Nova is nice harassing with, your main job is to try and kill enemies. Taser rounds can be nice used with another talent later on, but to this build I wouldn't recommend it, even though a lot of slow can be good in some situations. Level 4 is a bit different. Now there are 2 talents I would recommend for this level, all depending on your preferred playstyle. The first I would recommend is Gathering Power. Gathering Power gives you extra ability power, which is always good because Nova is an ability focused hero. If you know how to survive playing Nova and you're certain that you won't be killed very often, then this is the talent I would recommend, hands down. In the end, you're gonna end up having 20% extra ability power, which is 20% extra damage, which is unbelievably good. However, if you're playing a game and you can see that you might die a lot during this game, I would recommend using Envenom. Envenom is a good talent because it's guaranteed damage on your enemies unless they hit a healing fountain or something like that, which is also why I would recommend Gathering Power. Remote Delivery, well, this is basically a useless talent if you ask me. You have 2 talents here that increases your damage, which is your job as an assassin, is to deal damage, and Remote Delivery is only good if you really want to distract your enemies, and that can be nice, but most of the time you can get close enough anyway to use your holy decoy, so I wouldn't recommend it. Perfect Shot, well, it's useful, but how often do you really kill an enemy hero using snipe? That's what you have to ask yourself, because this talent is only really good when you kill enemy heroes using snipe, which refunds all of your mana. However, snipe is your opener, and most times you will either be killing enemies with your ultimate or with your basic attacks, so I wouldn't recommend using Perfect Shot. Now level 7 is where things begins to get fun playing Nova. A lot of people are probably gonna bash me for this, but I would say use 1 in the chamber. And the reason that people are gonna bash me for this is because I see again and again and again that people choose anti-armor shells when playing Nova, and I can see the appeal, especially in its old version where it dealt more damage than it does now. But the problem I have with this talent is basically what you're doing is you're dealing higher damage, but your attack speed gets slowed equally. And if you look at your character stats in game, you will see that your attack speed gets slowed down to a level where it's the same damage per second as it was before, meaning you're attacking slower, but your DPS is the same. Why would you choose this? Really, when you can choose 1 in the chamber. After using an ability, your next ability deals 50% additional damage. This is a crazy increase in damage if used correctly. If you don't panic and fire off all your basic abilities at once, this is going to boost your burst damage and your overall teamfight damage by tremendous amounts. I can only recommend this as your talent every time. This makes or breaks games, and trust me, it is the talent you want to go for. Don't take anti-armor shields. I don't know where people got the idea from, but please, don't do it. You'll only be punishing yourself. Covered Up, well, it's increased slow, but really I can't see when you would need to slow people down to 50% slow. This could be nice if used in level 1 with the taser rounds, but then again, we don't want to take taser rounds, so it's really not worth it, if you're asking me. Explosive rounds, I can see the appeal, you deal extra damage to enemies nearby. However, this is a spell that would be perfect for clearing creep waves. That's just not your job. Your job is to roam the map and kill enemy heroes. So yeah, one in the chamber, without a doubt, pick that talent. And of course, ultimates is the fun part of every hero. Now Nova actually have two really good heroic abilities. The first one is triple tap, which I, in 9 out of 10 games, actually would recommend you picking. And the reason for this is that this is most likely a secured kill every time. It deals plenty of damage, and it is a good way to take out heroes that are trying to flee, or to force your enemy to stand in line of each other to take damage that they otherwise wouldn't want to take, and all that good stuff. It's good for solo takedowns, and well, there is barely any bad sides to it other than if you get stunned or in other ways interrupted, the ultimate is wasted. So be sure not to stand near enemies that do that if you choose this talent. However, if you're playing against another Nova, which can sometimes happen, I would actually recommend that you take Precision Strike. The reason for this is that the triple tap ability can be blocked by various other heroes, and even Nova's own Holo Decoy, but I will talk more about that later. And Precision Strike is a good secure way to deal damage to an enemy Nova. What you basically are going to do is that you're going to hit that Nova with a pinning shot to slow them, and then use the Precision Strike. They won't be able to get out of the Precision Strike, so it's guaranteed damage against the enemy assassin hero. So yeah, 9 out of 10 games, triple tap, otherwise Precision Strike. Level 13. Now level 13 I'm a little bit torn, because most of the times I would say use Advanced Cloaking, and the reason for Advanced Cloaking is that it's good for your survivability, it's good to keep you in the game longer, and it's good to chase down enemy heroes that are fleeing from you because of the increased movement speed. This increased movement speed makes it easier for you to flee from your enemies that are chasing you, and it makes it easier for you to just get close that little bit of distance that sometimes allows enemies to escape from you. The other talent, however, I'm considering you might want to use is Headshot. Headshot reduces ability cooldowns by 4 seconds when you are there to kill an enemy hero, which is nice, but then again, the more I think about it, I'm like, how many times do I actually need to get reduced ability cooldown when fighting enemy heroes? I mean, it can be nice in team fights, but my job is mostly to clean up and to make sure that high damage targets dies. So I would go with Advanced Cloaking to keep yourself alive, also to make sure that your gathering power stays at its maximum potential for longer in game. Lethal Decoy, it's tempting. Your decoy now deals damage, which can be good, and you're like, oh, it deals 25% damage, that's 25% damage increase. Well, it's only a damage increase if it actually attacks what you want it to attack, and many times the decoy seems to be a little confused about what it wants to attack, and I would actually say that the decoy is better used for other purposes than trying to deal extra damage. Spell Shield, well, if they're raining down enough ability damage for this to be necessary, you're probably dead anyway. Level 16. This one should give itself. Overdrive. Come on. 25% ability power at the cost of 40% mana. Screw the mana cost increase. It's 25% extra damage for your abilities. Combine that with a maxed out gathering power and your abilities almost deal 50% more damage against enemies, and this also counts for your ultimates. It is insane amounts of damage you can deal if you have the mana for it and if you're using it correctly. So take this, really, this is the talent you want to go with. Double Fake, I guess it's nice to, for a few short moments, to trick your enemies into thinking that, oh, there's Nova and there's the illusion, and then you actually aren't there. But then again, ability damage increase. Why would you take a talent that doesn't increase your damage as an assassin hero when you can take one that does increase your damage? And then you might be, but hey, why not Crippling Shot? Crippling Shot increases the damage taken by 25% of the hero I'm attacking. And that is a good point. However, it's only the hero that is infected by the pinning shot. And if you don't have the talent back at level 1, Taser Round, that increase the slow to 4 seconds, it's pretty useless, because 5-second increase, 2-second increase. Of course, this is all damage, but then again, it's only on one target. This is whatever target you choose to attack. And if you have the Precision Strike, as we saw here earlier, it is actually damage to all hit by that Precision Strike. Just keep that in mind. Railgun, useless talent. I'm sorry, but it is a useless talent. Your snipe penetrates through enemies and deals 50% damage. Well, I guess that could be nice, and the cooldown is reduced for everyone you hit, but the problem is that the chance of your enemies being in a conquer line aren't really that big since we're not playing Team Fortress 2. So take overdrive, trust me, it is worth it. Level 20 talent, this depends on what ultimate you chose at level 10, because there is really, most of the times I would always say improve your heroic ability. Triple tap resets if you kill an enemy hero. It is insanely crazy, and you've probably already seen it if you played the game, that how a Nova just cleans up an entire team by pinning them down one at a time with triple tap and fast reload because she gets the kills. This ability is gold if you get the right opportunity, and it can be what ends the game. Precision barrage is also good because now you can make the precision strike twice, which again can be a lot of damage. This is just only really good if your enemies are kept in one place. So if you're playing with another hero that is good at stunning or slowing a lot, like Thrall for instance, then this can actually be really, really good. However, there may be games where you're taking a lot of damage and the enemy seems to be focusing you a lot because they don't like having you in the team fights, which is very understandable. And in those scenarios, I would actually recommend using Bolt of the Storm. Now, I just praised Precision Barrage and Fast Reload for making you able to kill enemies again and again, but you're nothing to your team if you're dead, and especially in the late game where you'll be out for an entire minute. Bolt of the Storm gives you the chance to escape some of the toughest situations, and combined with the advanced cloaking that we took earlier, this almost guarantees you from any tough situation. So that is basically how I would want to build Nova. If you've just purchased Nova or you're trying Nova out for the first time, the level 1 build I would recommend would be Conjuring Pursuit to get mana. Again, this ability, Psyop Rangefinder, keeps you out too far away from the battle, so you might as well just take the one that guarantees you some extra mana regeneration. It can make a difference, but yeah, there aren't really any good level 1 talents the first time you play Nova. Level 4, I would say Perfect Shot. Take Perfect Shot to keep your mana up for the same reason you took Conjurer's Pursuit. If you can't take any of the good talents, you might as well take the talents that make sure that you can stay longer in team fights than you could elsewise. Level 7, you can take one in the chamber, take one in the chamber. It is an amazing ability. Level 10, well, you're forced to play triple tap, but that's okay because, as I said, I would recommend this 9 out of 10 games. Advanced Cloaking, level 13, pretty simple. And at level 16, I would say that you should take the Crippling Shot to get the damage increase on your target. Try to pick out individual targets playing Nova, especially if it's your first game, and this will help you deal the extra damage and maybe even get out easier in combat. And level 20, improve your triple tap with fast reload. That is how I would recommend playing Nova in level 1 and in level 4 and beyond. As I mentioned earlier, Nova is a hero with a low health pool, and you should keep that in mind when playing her. Your main job throughout the whole game will be roaming the map to find targets that you can take out quick and easy. In the early game, this will result in you roaming a lot between lanes, and especially on maps where there are a short distance between lanes. And while you do that, you should always inform your team where you're going, where there might be danger, and what heroes you want to attack, given there is another hero there to help you kill them. Do this by using the game's in-game tool to signal danger and retreat and on my way. Use all of these things to help your team, for after all you are a cloaked hero, so you have way bigger liberties at scouting the map than most other heroes have. From level 7 and onwards, where you get the one in the chamber talent, is where you will be able to take out most heroes on your own, provided that they are not heroes with large health pools. And if there is no objective to scout and keep safe, then you should start hunting down weak enemy heroes. Heroes that you especially will want to hunt down are heroes like Murky and Abathur, since they have a low health pool and are really annoying. These are treats for Nova to take out because you are cloaked, so you can sneak in, find out where they are, get in a good position, then kill Abathur wherever he are, and if it's Murky, then just wait until he's killed by one of your teammates and then instantly, pow, destroy his egg and he is dead. Once you've done these things, you will notice that people playing Abathur and Murky will pull back from their positions, which weakens their playstyle, all things considered. Another note, when playing against Abathur, be wary of the map and look where does he spawn his small minions. And if you see they're attacking a place and still have a lot of spawn time left, then that means that he is close and you should probably try to scout that area and see if you can pick him out. One of the things that really makes Nova a tricky hero to play is judging when to attack a hero and when to join a team fight. Often again, you might end out entering a team fight too early, actually just resulting in you dying and not really dealing the damage that you wanted to deal. You have to always keep an eye on the minimap when playing as Nova, because it is essential to know when it might be a good or a bad idea to engage an enemy. If you see a weak target out of position but you don't know where the rest of the enemy team is, well, then it's probably a bad idea to engage, or at least you should first scout the nearby area to make sure that you can kill them before reinforcements arrive. If you don't, well, then it might as well just turn into your own death, and that serves no purpose whatsoever. When you reach the end game, you will be an extremely efficient hero to take out enemies that are out of position, and you can force the enemy team to be afraid of moving alone and force them to move in packs, which ultimately ends out in your team having map control, and that is exactly how you want things to turn out. Your combination with the overdrive talent and fast reload, if you have chosen triple tap, is what makes you able to kill most heroes, and it is just all fun and games from that point on. As the last point of this guide, I'm gonna give you a few tips and tricks on how to be a little better at playing Nova. When chasing down enemy heroes, it's important to remember that your holo decoy can take attention from enemy towers, and that can actually allow you to chase your enemies just a little bit further in lanes, which might be the thing that brings home the kill that you want. The holo decoy can also be used on an enemy team expecting a team fight, luring them into using abilities, maybe even ultimates, giving your team an edge in an incoming team fight. You use this if you have vision of your enemy team and you can see that they're waiting for you to arrive. Know your enemy. Really, this is one of the most important things. If you want to play a good Nova, you might have to spend some time looking into how enemy heroes work. It's a fast way to become better at judging which fight you should and should not take, and just to give you a few examples, specialist heroes like Sergeant Hammer deals more damage the further away you are from her, so it's actually a target you want to hug up close, which feels unnatural because Nova is a ranged hero, but you really want to stay close if you want to try to take down Sergeant Hammer. Brawl is an assassin hero that you might want to be very careful at attacking, and I would recommend only attacking him if he is on low mana, because every fifth ability that Brawl uses heals him for about 20% of his health pool or something like that, and it is an annoying and unfair fight for you one-on-one. If he has full mana pool, then I would just say don't do it. It's a bad idea. So know your enemies and use that to help yourself become a better assassin. Always be aware of your own mana pool. Nova is an ability-based assassin, and if you don't have enough mana to use your abilities, you can't really secure a kill, and you just risk dying, looking really foolish, and people will be like, "Oh, what a noob, what are you doing?" Because that's how people are in games like this. Be sure to calculate, just do a quick calculation. Can I afford using my abilities? Also, if I use my overdrive ability in the late game, and just don't jump into a fight without being able to deal ability damage, because it won't serve no good purpose. As I mentioned earlier in the guide, you may end up playing against another Nova in a mirror match, which basically is just one big game of chicken. Getting the enemy Nova out of the way should always be your top one priority throughout the entire game. Nova can easily kill Nova, and that is why this is one big game of chicken. If there is a team fight, you should really wait to see if the other Nova will reveal herself before you do, because then you can take her out and help with the team fight, putting her out of the team fight easily. Or if you're just roaming around the map, don't really know where Nova is, be sure to keep an eye out for those blurry silhouette lines that gives away an enemy stealth hero. In the event that you are facing an enemy Nova in the late game and that Nova has the triple tap ability, be sure not to use your holo decoy until that enemy Nova activates triple tap. You can put your holo decoy in the way, blocking triple tap and basically making the enemy Nova waste her ultimate. Just like you're seeing right now, this enemy Nova made me waste my triple tap during one game. And that is why I early in the guide recommended that you would use Precision Strike if playing against another Nova, because that can't be blocked by a holo decoy. That's all I have to say about playing Nova in Heroes of the Storm. I hope you enjoyed this guide, and if you watched the whole thing, then I thank you very much for listening to me. Feel free to leave comments telling me what I could do better. I would love to get some constructive criticism, and if you wanted to see me make more of these guides, then feel free to subscribe, whatever, you know how YouTubers always beg me to do that. I don't really care whatsoever. Give me your honest opinion. I want to do better at this, and I'm doing this for fun. So maybe I'll see you around. Bye!